It was a sweltering afternoon when I noticed a familiar sight. Neighbor Karen patrolling the perimeter of my ranch, binoculars in hand. She strutted around like she owned the place, calling out imaginary violations and jotting notes in a clipboard as if she were conducting a military operation. I shook my head, sipping my coffee on the porch. She had no legal authority over my property, but her ego told her otherwise. Moments later, she raised her phone and dialed 911. Yes, there's a trespasser using the pool on private property. The owner refuses to comply with HOA rules. Send help immediately. I smiled. Her antics had become predictable. I calmly walked down to the pool, fully aware of her surveillance and the absurdity of the situation. The pool was entirely on my property, fenced legally, and clearly documented in the property deeds. Karen arrived at the gate shortly after, puffing with rage. "You're violating community regulations," she shouted. "I've called the cops. You will be fined." I leaned against the fence casually. "Karen, this is private property. You have no authority here. Calling the police doesn't change that. The pool, the land, the entire ranch, it's all mine. You are trespassing by attempting to enforce HOA rules here." Her eyes bulged. She was so confident in her power, so sure that threats and calls to authority would bend reality. I decided it was time to teach her another lesson. I pressed a button on the intercom system I had installed, activating the cameras around the pool. Every inch of her approach, every aggressive gesture, was being recorded in full HD. I then walked into the house, picked up my phone, and called the local sheriff, Grandpa, of course, who had jurisdiction and knew the family's antics all too well. "Grandpa," I said calmly, "Karen is patrolling my ranch again and attempting to intimidate me. She is trespassing." Within minutes, Grandpa arrived, uniformed and authoritative. Karen froze mid-gesture, pointing at the pool. This is legal?" she stammered. "Yes," he said firmly. "The property is privately owned. Your actions constitute trespassing and harassment. Any further attempts to interfere with the owner's property will result in legal action." Karen tried to argue, calling out to nearby neighbors to witness the injustice. Grandpa calmly reminded her that neighbors are irrelevant when it comes to legal ownership and property rights. Every threat she had, every loud exclamation, was now documented and could be used as evidence against her. I walked back to the pool, sipping my water as she muttered under her breath. The sheriff's presence, combined with the evidence I had gathered, rendered her power null. Any further attempts to assert authority over my property would now be met with law enforcement and legal consequences. To cement the lesson, I installed a small, tasteful plaque at the edge of the pool area. "Private property, unauthorized HOA enforcement is prohibited and prosecuted." Neighbors passing by whispered in awe. Karen's reputation had taken another hit. The woman who had once prided herself on dominating the neighborhood now appeared petty, overreaching, and powerless. By the end of the day, the ranch was peaceful again. Karen had learned, yet again, that entitlement, threats, and intimidation mean nothing against proper preparation, legal authority, and decisive action. I floated in the pool, watching the sunset, fully confident that my property was secure and that Karen's meddling would no longer threaten my peace.